Okay, update on the Planet tank, which hasn't been done in quite some time. Mainly because it's hard. So an overview, this is a 14-gallon Innovative Marine Peninsula with a current current, it's the planted light. It's the Pro, the higher end one, so I could get a decent amount of light. There's the timer. Okay, so I'm running CO2 and fertilizer. That little valve's there to help it go there, and CO2 just kicked off because the tank's almost done. But this is one of those cheap bubble counters. It actually works pretty good from Amazon. It's just real slow right now. So what I did was I ran those two tubes under the sink, and I've got, let me turn on the light here, a jar of Easy Green Co-op Aquarium Co-op Easy Green Nano hooked to a Comore X1. The reason I picked the Comore X1 is because it has the smallest automated dosing thing I could find. It can do half a milliliter. It can do 0.1 milliliter manual, but automatically it could do half a milliliter. I'm doing half a milliliter every third day. Trying to do a lean dosing system because that little tank, it's light and lean dosing is keeping me good. I have a CO2 tank back here with the Aquatech. Just cheap one. This is one I first used on my calcium reactor on my saltwater tank. Still kicking. Running at 45 psi. I've got the solenoid on a simple timer. Goes on and off probably 30 minutes before, and then the lights come on, and 30 minutes before the lights go off. So this is a Voss bottle with a BRS bottle kit, and then I ran them up through the wall and to here. So the plants I have in here are the dwarf baby tier carpet, and I'm getting some nice purling action there at the end of the day, so I've got a good amount of that. I have ADA Aqua Soil, and I use the ADA method. They got like their pumice stone and their little minerals and stuff. Looking back, I think just the soil would have been enough, especially if you're going to add ferts. And what I did was I used their big soil, and then I put the fine stuff on top. But as you can see, the big soil shimmied up anyway. So the roots are hanging on. Let's turn this light on so you can see. So you can see the roots going down. So they're in there. They're not crazy, but they're in there. I mean, the carpet's pretty thick. I just put in these Amano shrimp. I had put a few of them in there before, and they were too small. They were about half this size, and I found some XL ones online on eBay, and they are really making this tank what it is, because I didn't want to put snails in, and there's just a little algae all the time. I had some green cyano. I used the slime away. I've had hair algae. I've still got a little bit up here. I've just had all the algae. And the reason I show this tank today is because it looks good, but don't think it didn't. I haven't had my troubles. I can keep SPS coral, and this tank is harder than that. And I think it's a learning curve for freshwater. I think it's the fact that it's a nano, and it's you know, 15 or Innovative Marine 15 gallon, 14 gallon. So the small water amount. So I got a Celestial Pearl Danio in there. This is the Weeping Willow moss, and it's actually starting to grow down. See the curve, the arch there? I got a few little plugs of it. It grows super easy. Now the dwarf hairgrass, it lived up to its reputation. I had to find the right light settings, and I had to find the right fertilizer setting. I've got a little bulb checker in here. I just got off eBay. Super easy. I buy the fluid off eBay already pre-mixed, and you know, it lasts for weeks, and it tells me that my CO2 is good. I adjust it every once in a while. One thing I did do to make my CO2 adjustment easier was with that long hose down there. I do set my bubbles down low, but I just put in this little this little needle valve right next to the bubbler. So I have one down below and I have one up here, and all I have to do is just adjust this one right here at the tank, and I don't have to look down below. You know what I mean? As far as the lighting goes, I know I'm bouncing around a little bit, but so I can adjust all these channels. If I have too much algae in the tank, I just go down 5 points. If the stuff isn't growing the way I want it to, or it's reaching up or whatever, I just go back up 5 points. So right now I have all the channels on 65%. I've run it as high as 85% and had algae problems, you know what I mean? And or if I have algae problems, I cut my dosing back to half a milliliter. I was doing like a half milliliter a day, then every other day, now every third day. So when algae grows, I turn down the lights and I turn down the fertilizer. When it's not growing, or when the leaves turn brown, which I've almost killed off this dwarf baby tears a number of times, and it's grown back and almost got killed off and grown back. I, you know, do another water change, and I add, you know, I you know, change fertilizers, and you know, just it's been that trial and error. Hang on, focus. It's been that trial and error. The Weeping Willow moss does does pearl nicely. So this is an elephant ear, blue beta. I was cutting the feeding back, and the Pearl Danio nipped on its tail a little bit. That should grow back. They're pretty tough. I put a mono shrimp in here that were all, like I said, small, like 6 of them that were like 3/4 of an inch. He ate 5 of them, I think. But now that I have big ones, he hasn't messed with them. And one of those survived, and don't know how. It hid for months and months and months. And now that those other are in there, he comes out, which is crazy to me. He hangs out with the crew. But this tank is just, I mean, I must have set it up like, I mean, I have to look back. If you look at my old video, it's got to be over a year ago. And it's just now hitting stride. I finally found this. This is this tree in here is actually a root ball. So those were roots, and it's turned upside down, and then I just took fishing line and tied on the moss. This piece of I don't even know what that is. Some kind of driftwood. It's just, I just put that in there for the shrimp. That's the only reason that's there. But you know, they're not most decorative, but they're here. That's my cleanup crew. They're here, and I tell you, right after I put them in, there was shrimp poop everywhere, but there was also, they pick all this algae off. Like that piece of string algae, that'll be gone tomorrow. You know what I mean, after tonight. So, I mean, I turned my lights down 5 points today after I seen that grew, and I did a water change. As far as water changes, I try to do about 5 gallons a week. Sometimes if it looks a little algae, I do it more often than that. As far as filtration, I think I try to keep my tank like 78. I've got the tray in here, and what I've got is there's a filter floss, bag of carbon, Roxo 8, and then Pond Matrix in the bottom one. And I've got an Eheim heater in there, which I don't even think I need to run, but you know, they say that beta's like 78, so it's in there. I upgraded the pump to an Eheim 180 liter per hour. The nice thing about turning this thing off, or gallons per hour, see those two tubes? See the CO2 on the bottom and the fertilizer on the top? And then they just go up and come in here, and CO2 is provided by a inline diffuser. Keeps it nice and clean. There's that Eheim pump. 600 the compact 600. And you can see some of that. Some of that stuff gets through. I'm not sure why. I just clean out that pump fin when I need to. And there's pond matrix down in there. In there and in there. I just had more pond matrix. So it's got a lot of pond matrix. I'm sure there's all kind of crud in there. I clean it out and stuff. See it all floating around. I clean it out sometimes, every few months. But it's finally realized. Like I started all up by pulling everything up, but it's finally realized what I wanted it to do. And so my wife designed the aquascape with the tree and the path, and I made it happen. And who knows what the future holds, but I'm glad it's rocking steady. So I would say to any saltwater guys that are looking into getting a planted tank, it's not boring. If you like the challenge of SPS, go get you some dwarf baby tears, and you know, try to keep algae under control in a freshwater tank, you know, just by parameters and stuff. I did test. I used little test strips from the, you know, check nitrates and everything. It was so hard. It just didn't make sense to me. What made sense to me was how much algae's growing on the glass, how much algae's growing on this white sand. You know, I just suck out. You can see stuff gets on there. There's a little piece. That's left over from the water change. I just suck it out. I got a big bag of white sand, and I'll fill that trench up every once in a while. So I mean, that's how I keep my sand white. Is I just suck out the sand that's covered in stuff or algae, and then when it gets too shallow, I just take a cup and pour more sand in there. So you know, that's my trick for that. But it's been a great tank, and you know, the water changes are super quick. You know, even doing it once a week, it's only like 10 minutes to take care of this tank. So it's become pretty easy, and I'm pretty happy with it now that I got it set up and automated. Adding that dosing pump definitely helped my algae, because manually dosing, even though I had the little pumps, little finger pumps where you just squirt, 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 that was good, but it wasn't fine enough. You know, after getting automated dosers for the saltwater tanks, just using it on this to make the fertilizer steady, you know what I mean? Keep it from overdosing, keep it from underdosing. That really set this tank right. So thanks for staying if you've made it to the end of the update. We'll see you later.